Question 1. Which of the following best defines the concept of indemnity in an insurance contract? A. Indemnity is the obligation of the insurer to reimburse only for the amount necessary to bring the insured back to their pre-loss financial condition. B. Indemnity is a guarantee by the insurer to pay the insured the full value of the loss, regardless of the policy terms. C. Indemnity requires the insurer to pay out an amount equal to the insured's desired policy limits in every claim. D. Indemnity involves reimbursing the insured at a value greater than the actual loss to account for incidental expenses. Answer A. Indemnity is the obligation of the insurer to reimburse only for the amount necessary to bring the insured back to their pre-loss financial condition. Explanation. The principle of indemnity in insurance ensures that the insured is compensated only to the extent of their actual financial loss, thereby restoring them to their pre-loss financial state without profiting from the insurance claim. This is a fundamental insurance principle as it prevents overinsurance and discourages fraudulent claims. Option A is correct because it accurately describes indemnity's purpose. Option B is incorrect because insurers do not guarantee to cover full losses unless explicitly stated in the policy. Option C is wrong because indemnity does not equate to policy limits in every claim. It's based on the actual loss amount. Option D is incorrect since indemnity focuses on replacing actual losses, not exceeding them for incidental expenses. Question 2, scenario-based. Mr. Hernandez, a Kansas resident and claims adjuster, is assigned to handle a claim for a vehicle accident involving a policyholder. The policyholder's coverage includes liability and collision but excludes medical payments and uninsured motorist coverage. The accident was caused by an uninsured driver and the policyholder sustained bodily injuries. Based on Kansas-specific insurance regulations, what should Mr. Hernandez advise regarding coverage options for the policyholder's injuries? A. Advise the policyholder to file for uninsured motorist benefits, as this coverage is mandatory under Kansas law. B. Deny coverage for bodily injury, as the policyholder lacks medical payments and uninsured motorist coverage. C. Recommend the policyholder seek compensation under collision coverage for bodily injuries. D. Provide coverage under liability insurance since it can cover the policyholder's injuries in the absence of medical payments coverage. Answer. B. Deny coverage for bodily injury as the policyholder lacks medical payments and uninsured motorist coverage. Explanation. Under Kansas insurance law, uninsured motorist coverage is not mandatory unless the policyholder opts for it, and medical payments coverage is also optional. In this scenario, the policyholder does not have these coverages, so option B is correct as Mr. Hernandez must deny coverage for bodily injury. Option A is incorrect because uninsured motorist coverage is not present in the policyholder's contract. Option C is incorrect because collision coverage only addresses damage to the policyholder's vehicle, not bodily injuries. Option D is also incorrect since liability insurance covers injuries to third parties, not to the insured. Question 3. Which statement about the duties of an insured following a property loss under Kansas law is correct? A. The insured is required to notify the insurer within a reasonable time, but documentation of the loss is optional. B. The insured must document the loss with evidence, protect the property from further damage, and cooperate fully with the insurer's investigation. C. The insured can delay notifying the insurer as long as they provide evidence of the cause of the loss. D. Only filing a police report is mandatory, while providing an inventory of lost items is considered optional. Answer. B. The insured must document the loss with evidence, protect the property from further damage, and then cooperate fully with the insurer's investigation. Explanation. Kansas insurance policies typically contain duties after a loss clause, which obliges the insured to report the loss promptly, document it, prevent further damage, and cooperate with the insurer. Option B is correct as it reflects these key responsibilities. Option A is incorrect as documenting the loss is not optional. It is essential for claims processing. Option C is wrong because delayed notification can hinder the claim process and potentially violate policy terms. Option D is incorrect since providing a detailed inventory of lost or damaged items is required for proper claims assessment. Question 4. An adjuster is assessing a claim involving a homeowner's insurance policy. The insured claims that their basement was flooded due to heavy rains, resulting in significant property damage. The policy, however, excludes flood coverage. Which of the following options correctly describes how the adjuster should proceed according to standard insurance practices? A. Deny the claim entirely because the damage resulted from a peril excluded by the policy. B. Approve the claim because the damage was caused by natural events outside the insured's control. C. Investigate the cause to determine if any covered perils contributed to the damage, such as sewer backup, which might be covered under specific endorsements. D. Partially approve the claim compensating the insured only for the cost of damage to personal property, not structural damage. Answer: C. Investigate the cause to determine if any covered perils contributed to the damage, such as sewer backup, which might be covered under specific endorsements. Explanation: in most standard homeowners insurance policies, flood damage is excluded unless the insured has a specific flood insurance policy. However, certain endorsements like sewer or drain backup coverage may cover related water damage. Option C is correct because the adjuster should assess if any covered perils are associated with the flood event. Option A is incorrect because a thorough investigation is necessary before denying the claim. Option B is incorrect as natural events are not always covered perils. Option D is incorrect because policies do not usually partially approve claims based on the type of property unless specified otherwise. Question 5. Which of the following is true regarding an adjuster's duty to maintain confidentiality under Kansas insurance regulations? A. An adjuster can disclose claim information to any party involved in the claim, including friends or relatives, if they provide consent. B. Adjusters are prohibited from disclosing any personal or claim-related information to third parties without specific authorization from the insured or the insurer. C. Confidentiality applies only to sensitive information such as medical records, but not general claim details. D. Adjusters may share information about claims freely within their company, regardless of the claim's sensitivity or privacy considerations. Answer: B. Adjusters are prohibited from disclosing any personal or claim-related information to third parties without specific authorization from the insured or the insurer. Explanation: Kansas insurance law requires adjusters to uphold strict confidentiality regarding all claim information, sharing it only with authorized parties to protect the insured's privacy. Option B is correct, as disclosure without authorization would be a breach of confidentiality. Option A is incorrect since consent is required specifically from the insured or insurer, not general acquaintances. Option C is incorrect as confidentiality covers all claim-related information. Option D is incorrect as internal company policies do not override state-mandated confidentiality standards. Question 6. Scenario-based MS. Jackson is a Kansas auto insurance policyholder who has been involved in a collision with another vehicle. The accident report reveals that MS. Jackson was partially at fault, but both drivers sustained injuries. According to Kansas comparative negligence laws, which of the following is the correct outcome regarding liability? A. MS. Jackson's insurer will fully cover her damages, regardless of her level of fault. B. MS. Jackson can only recover damages if she is found to be less than 50% at fault. C. MS. Jackson's recovery is reduced by the percentage of her fault, but she can still recover some damages. D. MS. Jackson cannot recover any damages due to her partial fault in the accident. Answer: C. MS. Jackson's recovery is reduced by the percentage of her fault, but she can still recover some damages. Explanation: Kansas follows a modified comparative negligence rule which allows claimants to recover damages even if they were partially at fault, provided their fault does not exceed 49%. Option C is correct, as MS. Jackson can recover damages reduced by her fault percentage. Option A is incorrect because Kansas law does not permit full recovery if the claimant is partially at fault. Option B is incorrect because a claimant can recover damages as long as they are less than 50% at fault. Option D is also incorrect as partial fault does not bar recovery unless it exceeds 49%. Question 7. In a Kansas homeowners policy, which of the following best describes the effect of an exclusion clause? A. An exclusion clause only applies to specific high-risk situations, allowing other losses to be covered without restriction. B. Exclusion clauses define specific events or conditions that are not covered under the policy, limiting the insurer's liability. C. Exclusion clauses enhance coverage by specifying additional risks included under the standard policy terms. D. Exclusion clauses only apply if the insured explicitly agrees to them in writing. Answer: B. Exclusion clauses define specific events or conditions that are not covered under the policy, limiting the insurer's liability. Explanation: Exclusion clauses in insurance policies outline circumstances or types of damage not covered, helping to clearly define the scope and limits of the policy. Option B is correct as it accurately describes the role of exclusions. Option A is incorrect because exclusions can apply to a range of events, not just high-risk situations. Option C is incorrect since exclusions reduce coverage rather than expand it. Option D is incorrect because exclusions are standard policy terms that do not require additional written consent. Question 8. An adjuster encounters a claim where the insured has suffered both direct and indirect losses. Which of the following statements best differentiates these two types of losses? A. Direct losses occur when the insured suffers financial consequences indirectly linked to the initial loss. B. Indirect losses occur only if the insurer refuses to cover the direct loss entirely. C. Direct losses result directly from a covered peril, while indirect losses are consequential and can include loss of income or extra expenses. D. Indirect losses are automatically covered under all standard property insurance policies. Answer C. Direct losses result directly from a covered peril, while indirect losses are consequential and can include loss of income or extra expenses. Explanation. Direct losses are immediate physical damages caused by a covered peril, while indirect losses arise as a consequence of the direct loss, like lost income due to business interruption. Option C is correct as it accurately defines both types of losses. Option A is incorrect because direct losses are immediate, not indirect. Option B is incorrect because indirect losses are not conditional upon direct loss denial. Option D is incorrect since indirect losses require specific endorsements and are not automatically covered. Question 9. When handling a claim involving liability insurance in Kansas, an adjuster needs to evaluate which of the following factors to determine if the insured is legally liable. A. Whether the insured acted in good faith, regardless of the actual damages incurred. B. If the insured breached a duty of care resulting in harm to another party. C. If the insured can provide proof of innocence for the alleged harm. D. Only the extent of financial loss without considering fault. Answer B. If the insured breached a duty of care resulting in harm to another party. Explanation. Determining liability involves assessing whether the insured breached a duty of care which led to harm. Option B is correct because legal liability requires a duty breach and results in damage. Option A is incorrect as liability does not solely hinge on good faith. The duty of care and breach are essential. Option C is incorrect because liability assessment is based on the insured's actions, not on proving innocence. Option D is incorrect since liability requires establishing fault, not just financial loss. Question 10. In a Kansas commercial property policy, which of the following valuation methods is most likely to apply if a replacement cost provision is not included? A. Market value. B. Salvage value. C. Actual cash value. D. Appraised value. Answer C. Actual cash value. Explanation. When replacement cost coverage is not included, claims are typically settled on an actual cash value (SEV) basis, which accounts for depreciation. Option C is correct as a CV is standard in commercial policies without replacement cost provisions. Option A is incorrect as market value does not factor into standard SCV calculations. Option B is incorrect because salvage value applies only to partial losses or damaged parts. Option D is incorrect as appraised value may not reflect the insurer's valuation methods for claims. Question 11. Under Kansas insurance law, which of the following statements about the responsibilities of insurance adjusters is true? A. Adjusters must always settle claims in favor of the insurer to avoid fraud. B. Adjusters must investigate all claims fairly and impartially, adhering to policy terms and state regulations. C. Adjusters have the authority to alter policy terms if they feel it's necessary for a claim settlement. D. Adjusters can ignore state laws as long as the policyholder consents to the claim settlement. Answer B. Adjusters must investigate all claims fairly and impartially, adhering to policy terms and state regulations. Explanation. Kansas requires adjusters to conduct fair, unbiased investigations while following both policy terms and state regulations. Option B is correct as it aligns with these standards. Option A is incorrect since adjusters should act objectively rather than favoring any party. Option C is incorrect because adjusters cannot alter policy terms. Option D is incorrect as state laws must always be followed. Question 12. A Kansas insurance policy includes a subrogation clause. Which of the following best explains this clause? A. It allows the insurer to waive the insured's deductible under certain circumstances. B. It permits the insurer to seek reimbursement from a third party responsible for a loss after compensating the insured. C. It requires the insured to bear all costs of litigation if a claim is disputed. D. It allows the insured to file multiple claims for the same loss if the damage exceeds a set amount. Answer B. It permits the insurer to seek reimbursement from a third party responsible for a loss after compensating the insured. Explanation. Subrogation gives insurers the right to recover costs from third parties responsible for a loss after they've compensated the insured. Option B is correct as it describes the purpose of subrogation. Option A is incorrect as subrogation does not involve deductibles. Option C is incorrect because litigation costs are not typically covered by subrogation clauses. Option D is incorrect since subrogation does not involve filing multiple claims for the same loss. Question 13. In a Kansas commercial auto insurance policy, what does uninsured motorist coverage provide? A. Coverage for the insured's injuries and damages caused by an at-fault driver who has no liability insurance. B. Protection for the insured's vehicle against damage caused by theft or vandalism. C. Coverage for the insured if they cause a collision with an uninsured driver. D. Reimbursement of medical expenses for any party involved in an accident with the insured. Answer. A. Coverage for the insured's injuries and damages caused by an at-fault driver who has no liability insurance. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage protects insured drivers if they are injured or incur damages in an accident caused by an uninsured driver. Option A is correct as it explains the purpose of this coverage. Option B is incorrect since uninsured motorist coverage does not cover vandalism or theft. Option C is incorrect because this coverage does not apply to at-fault accidents by the insured. Option D is incorrect because uninsured motorist coverage does not cover all medical expenses for all involved parties. Question 14. A Kansas insurance policy with an actual cash value perceived provision is more likely to provide which of the following in the event of a claim? A. The full cost to replace the damaged property with a new equivalent. B. The market value of the property at the time of purchase. C. The depreciated value of the property, accounting for age and condition at the time of loss. D. A predetermined value set at the time the policy was issued. Answer. C. The depreciated value of the property, accounting for age and condition at the time of loss. Explanation. A CV policy is considered depreciation, paying out based on the item's current value at the time of loss, not its replacement cost. Option C is correct as it reflects the concept of a CV. Option A is incorrect because that describes replacement cost coverage. Option B is incorrect as a CV does not consider original purchase price. Option D is incorrect because a CV is not a predetermined amount but rather an adjusted value at the time of loss. Question 15. Under Kansas insurance law, which of the following must be included in a notice of cancellation for a personal auto insurance policy? A. The specific reason for cancellation and information about the insured's right to appeal the decision. B. Only a general statement indicating that coverage will end without further details. C. The insurer's option to reinstate the policy if payment is made within 30 days. D. The date and time of cancellation without any explanation or additional information. Answer A. The specific reason for cancellation and information about the insured's right to appeal the decision. Explanation. Kansas law mandates that notices of cancellation include a clear reason for the action and inform the insured of their rights, including potential appeal procedures. Option A is correct as it aligns with state requirements. Option B is incorrect because Kansas requires more detailed communication. Option C is incorrect as reinstatement terms would depend on specific insurer policies. Option D is incorrect because Kansas law requires an explanation, not just a cancellation date and time. Question 16. In a Kansas homeowner's insurance policy, what is the purpose of a deductible? A. It shifts the entire cost of minor losses to the insurer. B. It requires the insured to pay a portion of any covered loss, reducing the insurer's liability. C. It guarantees that the insurer covers all costs above a certain threshold. D. It allows the insured to select which perils will be covered under their policy. Correct answer. B. It requires the insured to pay a portion of any covered loss, reducing the insurer's liability. Explanation. Deductibles represent the insured's share of a covered loss, designed to reduce claims for small losses and share risk between insurer and insured. Option B is correct because it accurately describes the deductible's function. Option A is incorrect as the insurer is not liable for the deductible portion. Option C is incorrect since the insurer does not cover all costs but only costs exceeding the deductible. Option D is incorrect as deductibles do not determine coverage perils. Question 17. In Kansas, an insured files a claim for hail damage on their property. The policy includes a specific exclusion for cosmetic damage. Which of the following would be an example of damage not covered under this exclusion? A. Dented gutters and scratches on metal roofing that do not affect function. B. Broken windows caused by hail that allow water to enter the property. C. Minor dents on exterior siding that are only visually noticeable. D. Small chips in paint on metal trim without any structural impact. Answer: B. Broken windows caused by hail that allow water to enter the property. Explanation: cosmetic damage exclusions generally apply to surface or visual damage that does not impact structural integrity. Option B is correct because broken windows allowing water entry would be a functional issue, not purely cosmetic. Options A, C, and D describe cosmetic damage and would likely not be covered if excluded. Question 18. What is the primary purpose of an endorsement in an insurance policy? A. To exclude specific types of coverage from the standard policy. B. To adjust premium payments based on policyholder credit history. C. To modify or add coverage provisions that are not included in the base policy. D. To specify cancellation terms that apply only in certain situations. Answer: C. To modify or add coverage provisions that are not included in the base policy. Explanation: endorsements allow insurers and policyholders to tailor the policy by adding or changing coverage that isn't part of the standard policy terms. Option C is correct as it explains endorsements accurately. Option A is incorrect as endorsements usually add or adjust coverage, not exclude it. Option B is incorrect since endorsements are not about credit or premium adjustments. Option D is incorrect because endorsements focus on coverage, not cancellation terms. Question 19. Which of the following accurately describes Coinsurance ICA Kansas commercial property insurance policy? A. The insured agrees to cover a fixed percentage of any loss, regardless of the policy limit. B. The insured must carry insurance equal to a specified percentage of the property's value, or they may face reduced claim payments. C. The insurer covers 100% of all losses once the deductible is paid by the insured. D. The insurer automatically pays claims at a prorated amount if the insured has multiple policies on the same property. Answer: B. The insured must carry insurance equal to a specified percentage of the property's value, or they may face reduced claim payments. Explanation: Coinsurance clauses require policyholders to insure property to a certain value percentage, often 80%, to receive full claim payments. Option B is correct as failure to meet the coinsurance requirement can lead to penalties. Option A is incorrect as coinsurance applies to overall coverage, not individual claims. Option C is incorrect because coinsurance involves sharing costs rather than 100% coverage. Option D is incorrect as coinsurance is not about multiple policies. Question 20. In Kansas, if an insured fails to disclose a material fact on their insurance application, what may the insurer do if the omission is discovered after a claim is filed? A. Deny the claim and immediately cancel the policy. B. Adjust the claim payout to reflect the risk based on the undisclosed information. C. Cancel the policy only after providing a 30-day written notice to the insured. D. Rescind the policy if the omission was intentional and impacted the insurer's risk assessment. Answer: D. Rescind the policy if the omission was intentional and impacted the insurer's risk assessment. Explanation: in Kansas, if an insured intentionally omits or misrepresents a material fact that influences the insurer's risk decision, the insurer may rescind the policy. Option D is correct as it describes this legal right. Option A is incorrect because the insurer cannot immediately deny a claim and cancel the policy without investigating intent. Option B is incorrect as material misrepresentations can lead to policy rescission, not adjustments to claims. Option C is incorrect because the right to rescind typically overrides standard cancellation notice requirements. Question 21. Under Kansas law, which of the following claims would typically be covered under a homeowner's insurance policy? A. Damage caused by a flood to the insured's basement. B. Injuries sustained by a guest who slips and falls in the insured's home. C. Mold growth caused by high humidity over several months. D. Damage from termites to wooden structures in the insured's home. Answer: B. Injuries sustained by a guest who slips and falls in the insured's home. Explanation: homeowners' policies generally cover liability for injuries sustained by guests on the property. Option B is correct as it represents a common liability claim. Option A is incorrect because flood damage is usually excluded without a separate flood insurance policy. Option C is incorrect as mold due to maintenance neglect is often excluded. Option D is incorrect since damage from pests like termites is generally excluded. Question 22. A Kansas commercial property policy includes a provision for business income coverage. What does this coverage provide for the insured? A. Coverage for any lawsuits brought by clients due to delayed services. B. Compensation for lost income if the business is temporarily closed due to a covered loss. C. Coverage for inventory losses unrelated to a covered peril. D. Funding for the business to hire temporary employees to replace absent staff. Answer: B. Compensation for lost income if the business is temporarily closed due to a covered loss. Explanation: business income coverage compensates the insured for lost revenue during a temporary shutdown resulting from a covered peril. Option B is correct as it describes this protection. Option A is incorrect because business income coverage does not cover lawsuits. Option C is incorrect since the losses must be due to a covered peril. Option D is incorrect as it does not typically cover hiring temporary staff but rather income loss. Question 23. Which of the following best describes Kansas prompt payment regulations for insurance claims? A. Insurers must pay claims within 10 business days after a claim is filed. B. Insurers must acknowledge a claim, investigate, and pay within a time frame defined by state law. C. Insurers are required to pay claims within 60 days, regardless of whether an investigation is complete. D. Insurers can delay payment as long as they provide monthly updates to the insured. Answer: B. Insurers must acknowledge a claim, investigate, and pay within a time frame defined by state law. Explanation: Kansas requires insurers to promptly acknowledge, investigate, and settle claims within legally specified time frames. Option B is correct as it outlines these requirements. Option A is incorrect because specific deadlines vary. Option C is incorrect because the timeline may differ depending on circumstances. Option D is incorrect as delaying payment indefinitely with updates is not permitted under prompt payment regulations. Question 24. In Kansas, if a policyholder's auto insurance policy lapses, what may be one consequence if they are found driving uninsured? A. The policyholder may lose their right to reinstate the lapsed policy. B. The policyholder could be charged with a misdemeanor and face fines. C. The policyholder may have to pay double the premium for their next insurance policy. D. The policyholder's vehicle will be impounded automatically. Answer: B. The policyholder could be charged with a misdemeanor and face fines. Explanation: Kansas imposes fines and penalties, including potential misdemeanor charges on drivers found operating vehicles without insurance. Option B is correct as it reflects these legal consequences. Option A is incorrect as it does not directly relate to penalties for driving uninsured. Option C is incorrect because Kansas law does not mandate a double premium. Option D is incorrect as impoundment is not automatically enforced for lapsed insurance. Question 25. What is the primary purpose of a proof of loss form in a Kansas insurance claim? A. To initiate the claim investigation process by the insurer. B. To establish a legal admission of fault by the insured. C. To provide a documented account of the loss required before the insurer pays the claim. D. To notify the policyholder of coverage limitations for the loss. Answer: C. To provide a documented account of the loss required before the insurer pays the claim. Explanation: a proof of loss form is a formal statement by the insured detailing the loss which the insurer requires before claim settlement. Option C is correct as it represents the function of the form. Option A is incorrect because the investigation is typically already initiated by the time proof of loss is required. Option B is incorrect because it is not a statement of fault. Option D is incorrect as proof of loss is not about informing coverage limits. Question 26. Which of the following perils is commonly excluded in standard Kansas homeowners insurance policies? A. Fire damage to the insured's dwelling. B. Theft of personal property inside the home. C. Earthquake damage to the property's foundation. D. Accidental water damage from a burst pipe. Answer: C. Earthquake damage to the property's foundation. Explanation: standard homeowners policies typically exclude earthquake damage unless a separate endorsement is purchased. Option C is correct as earthquakes are not covered in standard policies. Option A is incorrect as fire damage is a covered peril. Option B is incorrect since theft is generally included. Option D is incorrect as accidental water damage from internal sources like burst pipes is usually covered. Question 27. Under Kansas insurance law, which of the following is true about comparative negligence? A. If the insured is partially at fault, they cannot recover any damages. B. Damages are reduced by the percentage of fault attributed to the insured. C. The insurer always covers the full cost regardless of fault distribution. D. Comparative negligence applies only to intentional damages. Answer: B. Damages are reduced by the percentage of fault attributed to the insured. Explanation: Comparative negligence in Kansas reduces a claimant's recovery based on their share of fault in an incident. Option B is correct as it describes this approach. Option A is incorrect because Kansas does not bar recovery if the insured is partly at fault, though it reduces it. Option C is incorrect because comparative negligence accounts for fault. Option D is incorrect as comparative negligence is not limited to intentional actions. Question 28. What is the effect of an aggregate limit ECA Kansas Commercial General Liability CGL policy? A. It sets a per incident maximum the insurer will pay for any single claim. B. It establishes the total maximum amount payable by the insurer for all claims during a policy period. C. It requires the insured to bear all costs above the specified limit for a single loss. D. It specifies the deductible amount that applies to all claims collectively. Answer: B. It establishes the total maximum amount payable by the insurer for all claims during a policy period. Explanation: An aggregate limit caps the total payout over the policy period for all claims combined, not per claim. Option B is correct as it reflects this function. Option A is incorrect because per incident limits apply to single claims, not the aggregate. Option C is incorrect as the aggregate limit affects total coverage, not individual claim costs. Option D is incorrect because aggregate limits do not set deductibles. Question 29. In Kansas, when can an auto insurer cancel a policy midterm for reasons other than non-payment of premiums? A. If the insured files more than 2 claims in one policy period. B. If the insured's driver's license is suspended or revoked during the policy term. C. If the insured changes vehicles during the policy term. D. If the insured receives a minor traffic violation ticket. Answer: B. If the insured's driver's license is suspended or revoked during the policy term. Explanation: Kansas law allows an insurer to cancel an auto insurance policy midterm if the insured's license is suspended or revoked as it changes the risk profile of the insured. Option B is correct as it aligns with this regulation. Option A is incorrect because claim frequency does not permit midterm cancellation unless it indicates fraudulent behavior. Option C is incorrect since changing vehicles doesn't justify cancellation. Option D is incorrect because minor violations alone are generally not grounds for midterm cancellation. Question 30. If an insured in Kansas has an umbrella policy, which of the following is typically required for it to be effective? A. The insured must only carry liability coverage on primary policies. B. The insured must meet specific underlying limits on their primary insurance policies. C. The insured must notify the insurer of any incident within 90 days. D. The insured must avoid all claims on primary policies for a full year. Answer: B. The insured must meet specific underlying limits on their primary insurance policies. Explanation: An umbrella policy requires that the insured maintain specific minimum limits on their underlying auto, homeowners, or other primary policies to activate coverage. Option B is correct as it describes this requirement. Option A is incorrect because umbrella policies supplement both liability and property coverage. Option C is incorrect because it does not relate to umbrella coverage activation. Option D is incorrect because umbrella policies do not require a claim-free year to be effective.